Hello everybody, I'm Irene. Thank you for joining me today. Today's practice is all about the warrior poses, so great standing poses to build up strength and core strength, leg strength. Many people experience a sense of joy and confidence when practicing the warriors, so I hope you are going to enjoy this as well. Before we go into the warrior poses though, we'll have a little warm-up on the floor. So let's come down. Coming down into a seated position, just taking the legs in front, hugging the legs in and placing the forehead down so as to just curl up and connect with ourselves, just withdrawing from everything for a few moments. In this position you can really feel the breath as well. Your abdomen pressing against the legs as you breathe in. The rib cage expanding. Straighten your upper body and take your legs into a cross-legged position. Doesn't matter which leg is in front. Just sit in such a way that your feet are supporting the legs, so there is a little gap between your body and the legs. Sitting upright but not rigid. Next time you inhale, take the hands up, and as you exhale, take them down. Couple more times. And again, inhale, take the hands up. Hold your breath this time as you lower the arms to shoulder level. Lift them up again. And then exhale. And we'll do that 2 more times. Hold your breath. Exhale. And last time. And release. Keep the left hand on the floor. Reach up and over with the right hand to come into a side stretch. And then over to the other side. Come back to center. Reach up again. Cross your right hand over to the left knee. Come into a twist. Still sitting nice and upright. Turn your head. Come back to center and over to the other side. Come back to center, just reach up one more time and fold forwards a little bit, wiggle around, ease out your lower back, and then from here roll forwards and come onto all fours. Take your hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath your hips, and inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Couple more times. Come into a neutral position, extend the left leg onto the floor. and lift up into tiger pose. Now place your hand down and the leg as well, and just swivel around and rise up. So your knee is underneath the hip, the other leg is extended, toes pointing forwards. And inhale to take your arms up to shoulder level. And then exhale, reach, reach, reach. Take the hands down and reach up and over to come into gate pose. Another lovely, slightly stronger side stretch here. So not leaning forwards, really roll the body back, look up towards the ceiling briefly. And then come back to center, take your left hand down on the floor. With the leg lifted, a variation of side plank, and then come back to center. Now from this all fours position, extend the right leg onto the floor and lift into tiger pose. Staying there nice and steady, breathing steadily. And then replace and swivel around so that your left knee is underneath your left hip. Toes of the other foot pointing forwards. Lift the arms as you inhale. As you exhale, reach, reach, reach. And come into gate pose. Making sure you roll the body back a little bit. Look up towards the ceiling briefly. And come back to center. Turn forwards again. With the knees apart, just push briefly into a child's pose. Stretch on your fingertips, keep the head lifted, just to even out the spine. And then move into downward facing dog. Take a moment to stretch out your legs one at a time. And then find stillness, find that steady breath again as you create a triangle above the ground. Now walk your hands back towards the feet. Maybe bend the knees a little bit. As you are in a soft forward fold. Easing out a little bit. And then slowly, slowly roll up into standing. Or the shoulders up and back and down. And from here, simply step your right foot forward, the left foot back. You want to have quite a wide stance with the feet not behind each other, but next to each other. Back toes pointing forwards, hips pointing forwards. And then from here, come into warrior one, our first warrior pose. So you want to keep the shoulders reasonably at ease as you extend your arms, as you point upwards. As you push onto the back foot to bend into your front leg. And from here, link your hands behind you now, preparing for humble warrior. You might like to point the back toes out a little bit more for this one. And then just lower yourself to hover over your front leg. And if it works for you, you can take the shoulder on the inside of the knee and then
Turn to the midpoint again. Take the hands away from the body while drawing the shoulder blades together. Couple of deep breaths here. And then slowly rise up. And turn sideways. Just readjust your back foot now so that your front heel is roughly in line with your back arch. Keep the front leg straight. Next pose is going to be triangle. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, reach. And tilt into triangle. Imagine leaning behind a wall. Look up towards the ceiling. Couple of nice steady breaths. And then rise up. Just lower the arms, widen your stance a little bit. Inhale, lift the arms again. This time we are going to come into warrior two. Keeping the upper body upright. Sinking down as much as possible. Couple more nice deep breaths. And moving into peaceful warrior from here. Drop the backhand, reach up and over for a lovely side stretch in this peaceful warrior position. And come back to center. Turn the toes forwards, come into a brief wide leg forward fold. And rise up. And switch the feet around. So we want to have the slightly narrower stance for triangle pose. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, reach and tilt. And rise up again. Just widening the stance a little bit and sinking down into warrior two. Your gaze is over your front middle finger. So really engage the core muscles here as well, the pelvic floor muscles. And then transition into peaceful warrior. And back to warrior two. Rise up, turn the toes forwards and fold forwards. Rise up again, turning forwards, step forwards with your left leg and take the right foot back. So we are going to do our warrior one and humble warrior now on this side. Remember the hips are pointing forwards. Hips stay tucked under. And then reach up. Keep the neck at ease here. Couple more breaths. Now link the hands behind you. You might like to change the way you link your hands. Draw the shoulder blades together and fold forwards. So either staying in this position or taking the elbow down. And then center yourself again. For this position you need to turn the foot out a little bit more for stability. Draw the shoulder blades together, take the hands up and over. And rise up. And step forwards. Standing in mountain pose with the hand at your heart for a moment. And then of course we mustn't forget warrior 3, so I'm just going to step back a little bit. We start off by standing on the left leg first, balancing on that left leg, and then tilting into a T shape. So the toes of your back foot are pointing down, your hips are level. The easier version is aeroplane, pointing back with the fingertips. For warrior 3, you point forwards. Staying in your balance for a couple more breaths. Now bend into your front leg, just take the fingertips down and take your right leg up a little bit more, standing splits. And take the right foot down, release down and rise up. Ready for warrior 2 on the other side. Pointing back or forwards with your fingers. Now bend into your front leg so you can take the fingertips down. Brief standing splits. Take the left foot forward. Exhale. And then bend into your knees. Shuffle the feet apart a little bit. Toes pointing outwards and lower yourself into a squat. You can keep the heels lifted if that's easier for you. Your spine should be straight. And then we are going to sit down on the floor. And we are going to finish off with a lovely, simple, relaxing twist on the floor. Just come into a long stretch briefly. Tuck your right knee towards the chest. And then guide your knee over to the left. Move the hips to the right as you do so. Turn the head to the right and come into your twist. Make sure the shoulders stay on the floor. But really see if you can just relax here now, so there's nothing to achieve. Just winding down a bit after the warrior poses. Roll onto your back again. Straighten out. Extend the right leg. Draw the left knee in. And come into your twist. Yeah, just move the hips a bit to the left. So you really can roll onto the outside of that hip. So you can really release down onto the floor. and roll onto your back. And curl up briefly, nose towards the knees. And then join me in a seated position. So before we finish, what can feel really nice after a sequence of warrior poses, and maybe you have even done this sequence twice, some people like to do that, is to have a few minutes with the legs resting against the wall. So try that out if you have the time. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and also subscribe to receive updates on further videos. I'll see you again next time. Namaste.